In this video, we are going to talk about VeChain, some of its recent price action, the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of VeChain to go in the next few days and weeks. So looking at the weekly chart, we can see that VeChain has a very long history of price action. VeChain is one of the OG coins that has existed for multiple cycles now, and really the way I would describe VeChain is that it is a dead giant, or maybe not a dead giant, but a sleeping giant at least. It got some absolutely insane rallies back in 2021, and since then just completely died out. Although we did occasionally get some very significant rallies here and there, the general trend has been very poor, with VeChain going down about 96% from its all-time high to where it is at right now. VeChain went from people talking about it potentially going to $1 to it now sitting at 1 cent. So this is an absolutely devastating dump if you've been holding VeChain from 2021, but this type of dump is actually really not that uncommon for a lot of these altcoins that went absolutely parabolic back in 2021, and many of them have never recovered to levels anywhere even close to where they were back then. So can VeChain get any type of recovery anytime soon? We've seen VeChain actually do relatively well back in 2024, with it getting two very significant rallies, with the last one at the end of 2024 being a huge rally of about 300%. But since then, in the entire year of 2025, VeChain has been doing absolutely horribly, basically just only dumping without getting any recovery whatsoever. And VeChain is currently at the lowest level that it was since 2020. So this is really not looking good for VeChain. It lost every single support area in the last few years, but it is now approaching a support area that could potentially be very significant. This is a very old support area that VeChain hit twice, once back in 2020 and another time back in 2018. Back in 2018, it led to a very small rally and then continued dumping, and back in 2020, it actually started what would eventually become its most explosive rally, and from that level all the way up to the all-time high, it was a rally of about 25x, even slightly more. So if last time VeChain was at this area, it got a rally of 25x, can it do something similar again? Well, long story short, in my opinion, the answer is absolutely not. I think that even in the absolute base case scenario, if Bitcoin starts going absolutely parabolic and gets new all-time highs, and Ethereum follows it, and we get an absolutely insane altcoin season, and VeChain participates in that and gets an absolutely insane rally, even in that absolute base case scenario, I still think that VeChain will likely not create a new all-time high. And really, in my opinion, I think that VeChain will probably never create a new all-time high. I really think that's the case with most of these altcoins that went parabolic in 2021 and died since then. It's just the unfortunate reality of most altcoins. Really, in the crypto market, Bitcoin is the only coin that is basically guaranteed to do well in the long term. Of course, nothing is really guaranteed, but it is the only one where the chances of it doing well in the long term are extremely high. And of course, Ethereum is also one of them. And some of the very large altcoins like Solana and Binance Coin and XRP also have a very high likelihood of doing well for many years, but even with them, it's absolutely not guaranteed. And with the smaller altcoins like VeChain, I would argue that it's actually almost guaranteed that they don't do that well on a very long time horizon for like more than a decade. So that's my general outlook on most of these altcoins that did very well back in 2021 and died since then. But with that being said, this doesn't mean that VeChain can't get any significant rallies at all. I just said that it will likely never head all the way up to the all-time highs, but that doesn't mean that it can't get significant rallies. For example, right now, since VeChain is at a pretty important support area, if we start seeing Bitcoin doing very well right away and heading above 100k, and we start seeing a much better sentiment in the crypto market, I think that VeChain could actually get a pretty significant relief rally from here, and then likely head at least up to this next resistance area. This will be a rally of about 90 to 100% for VeChain, so that would be a 2x. And if we see a really good sentiment in the crypto market and VeChain continues its rally, it could even potentially head much higher than that. We've seen VeChain actually create higher highs earlier in 2023 and 24. So if we do get the absolute base case scenario that I laid out before, with Bitcoin getting new all-time highs, and we get an absolutely insane alt season, something similar to what we've seen in 2021, then I do think that VeChain could go all the way up to this trend line, which would still be an absolutely insane rally for VeChain, going up about 9x. But then again, I want to stay very realistic and not just overhype this. I don't want to just tell you that VeChain is going to the moon and you're going to become rich from it, this is not the type of content that I make, and I don't want to make these outrageous claims. I think that this scenario would be the absolute best case for VeChain, and it is pretty unlikely at the moment. And I think that for VeChain to even hold this support area that it's at right now would require Bitcoin to do very well very soon. I do think that Bitcoin will eventually head above 100k sometime in the next few months, but if it doesn't happen soon and Bitcoin just continues to consolidate or even dump, then VeChain will likely continue to head way lower and try to find support at one of the next support areas from back in 2019 and 2020. And of course, this is not financial advice whatsoever, but I would definitely avoid VeChain at the moment, and its structure and price action is still very weak in my opinion. So that's going to be it for this video about VeChain. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates about VeChain as well as other altcoins, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.